Last Christmas, out of the blue, Adult Swim surprised the world with an offbeat and downright insane film called The Fireplace, and labeled it the Adult Swim Yule Log. In this day and age of internet spoilers, they pulled off a miracle and provided a truly unique horror experience that actually surprised audiences for the holidays. This is ML Miller Fright's Best in Horror Countdown 2022 through 2023, counting down the best in horror within the window of October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023.
Number 20.
Adult Swim's Yule Log, aka The Fireplace, was released on December 12th, 2022. It's streaming on HBO Max.
It's directed and written by Casper Kelly. What begins as a simple scene depicting a blazing Yule log fire evolves into a story about a couple spending Christmas in a cabin that happens to rest on the nexus of many, many terrors, including some inbred hillbilly slashers, aliens, demonic forces, past sins, and possessed wood. Yule log is a wonderful gumbo of tropes mixing all kinds of horror and sci-fi subgenres into one devious, delicious surprise gift. I found out about it after the premiere and caught it on HBO Max, but I would have loved to have been able to be among the viewers surprised by the debut of this wonderfully devilish film. There really isn't a trope this film doesn't cover. There are uncomfortable scenes of sheer terror accompanied by a quirky wit that can only be described as Adult Swim-like. If you've seen any of Adult Swim's shows, you know what I mean. There's a lot of dream logic going on, but at the same time, there's a rhyme and reason to the way the film circles back in on itself over and over through time and space. Many might dismiss this as just a bunch of kooky images and actions squished together, but those folks aren't really appreciating the amount of work put into the making of this time-looping, story-zigzagging narrative. Not only does this film tell a present-day tale of terror, but it also delves into the dark history of the cabin and those who have occupied it through the years. Things occur in the past that directly relate to the present. Lines spoken are repeated and overlapped across time. It really is quite ingeniously put together, a feat that is not as simple as one might think. I was impressed across the board by the genius way Casper Kelly accomplished this story. He gained a fan for life after watching Yule Log, aka The Fireplace. I was shocked at some of the scenes this film pulled off. I also laughed my ass off at some of the cliches that are trampled over. There are some absolutely gruesome effects, but also some over-the-top mania that can only be called Raimi-esque. The surreal scenes inside the fireplace reminded me of the beings inside the radiator in Eraserhead, as a man who seems to be the devil, played by Charles Green, is actually disturbingly introspective as he touts some wonderful rants about the mindset of today's youth. Technically, I marveled at how much story Kelly gets from a static shot of a burning log. Not all of the film is made up of this scene, but a good portion of it occurs centered around the fireplace. Kelly uses reflections and forced perspectives to make aspects of the room appear in the scene. Split screen across time is also used in a way that is narratively shocking and devilishly smart. There really is a lot of technical wizardry going on here. It's quite brilliant. The acting ain't half bad either, with leads Andrea Lang and Justin Miles making the long static shots interesting through their chemistry together as the young lovers. I also loved Tordy Clark's turn as the deranged mother, which made me laugh with glee and shudder in disgust all at once. All around, from the initial ember to the smoldering ash of this Yule log, I found this film to be thoroughly fun and just the derelict kind of humor and horror I needed to cope with the holidays this year. This is a true holiday horror classic, a perfect gift for the horror fanatic who has seen everything. See it this holiday, you wonderful weirdos, you.
I placed this film as a pairing with the Adult Swim Yule Log, mainly because it doesn't really fit anywhere else in my best of countdown. While it doesn't have much to do with the first film, In Search of an All-American Nightmare looks at another obscure film that never was. And if you're a fan of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's going to be a must-see for you. In Search of the All-American Massacre, the Lost Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, was released on October 1st, 2022, and it's streaming on Tubi. It's directed by Edward Payson, and it stars Edward Payson, Jose Prendes, Paul Baio, Greg Herger, Felissa Rose, Peyton Petrone, Pat Cusati, and Adam Gostins. I've been aware of All-American Massacre for a while. It's the long-lost sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, directed and written by Tobe Hooper's son, Tony Hooper, and starring Bill Moseley, who reprises his iconic role as Chop Top, the manic Sawyer brother who was in Vietnam during the first film and received a metal plate on his head as a result of his service. The character added a new dynamic to the Sawyer family. I know All-American Massacre was made. I've seen the trailer for it. I've donated to the failed Kickstarter a while back, but I had no idea about the story behind it. So when I saw In Search of All-American Massacre, the Lost Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, pop up in my Tubi queue, I had to check it out.
Dog will hunt! Dog will hunt!
Though the details are hazy, the plot for All-American Massacre is as follows. A news crew gets permission to interview one of Texas's most notorious criminals, Bloody Bobby Sawyer, aka Chop Top, played once again by Bill Moseley, who, with the rest of his family, is responsible for countless murders across Texas. Bloody Bobby, as he is called in the film, recalls his sickening origin as well as the events that led to his incarceration. Effects artist Todd Bates plays a younger Bloody Bobby in the flashbacks, while metal guitarist Buckethead plays his brother, the notorious Leatherface. For any Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, the possibility of seeing Bill Moseley return to the role of Chop Top is right up there on their most cherished wish list. While there are those Texas Chainsaw Massacre diehards who feel the original is the only one that matters, even they can find some room in their dark hearts for Tobe Hooper's strange but vastly entertaining sequel that leaned more towards comedy, and while it tried, never was really able to capture the terror of the original. Moseley's the best part of that film, as his Chop Top was able to capture and express the sheer lunacy the speechless Leatherface never could. Chop Top took the place of the manic hitchhiker. In fact, in the lore, he's Nubbin's twin brother, away at Vietnam during the events of the original. Moseley's over-the-top antics replaced that crucial role of the yattering Yang to Leatherface's yingy, serious, silent menace. Honestly, it's something that's been lacking in every sequel since Hooper's sequel. While the plot of the film and the multimedia approach from the footage feels like Tobe Hooper was heavily influenced by Oliver Stone's Natural Born Killers, I think I speak for many that I really want to see All-American Massacre someday. The cast and crew attest that the film does exist, and enough footage was made to make it feature-length. Many theorize that because the disastrous but still fun Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation was being released at the same time this was made, the powers that be kept Hooper from releasing his film. It also might have to do with the fact that Carolco, a now defunct mega movie house, folded and might own the rights to Chop Top, might be the reason the popular character only appeared in one film. All-American Massacre was made before the age of YouTube, where fan films of properties like Friday the 13th, Star Wars, Batman, and many other properties can be found a few clicks away. So they might have been afraid to release it back then, but that's no excuse for why we haven't seen it now. Whatever the reason, only a few clips, behind-the-scenes stills, and some cast interviews are all we have. In Search of All-American Massacre attempts to get to the bottom of the mystery. Director Edward Payson and a few hardcore movie files and fans try to track down the lost footage, even going so far as to make a bid on an unknown box of reels found in the back of some production studios. Though I won't spoil the contents of those reels, I will say that this is the most suspenseful part of the documentary. What In Search of All-American Massacre, the Lost Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, does is gather the most comprehensive evidence and put it all in one film. It's the best they can do at the moment. Though the filmmakers and others are dedicated to keep up the search, it pieces together clips, interviews, and photos while offering up new interviews with crucial stars including Greg Herger, who played a more active and spry grandpa in All-American Massacre. They also inexplicably interview Felissa Rose, not sure why, She must have just been at the convention at the same time while the film was being made. It was nice seeing her talk about the movie, though, even though she has no ties to it. These interviews are fun. Herger is quite the character and offers up colorful commentary about the craziness behind the scenes. He suggests that there were a lot of drugs involved in the making of the film, but also says that he has seen a cut of it and it quote-unquote isn't bad. It's not the kind of blurb you want to put on your poster, but compared to some of the other films the TCM franchise has to offer, how bad can it be? Like many of you, I really want to see Tony Hooper's film. I'm sure eventually it'll happen, but one has to wonder why, though the fans desperately want to see it, no one wants to really release it. It's low budget, but is it that bad? Maybe it is. Tobe Hooper is said to have been on set for the film and seemed to not only give his son his blessing, but offer up a lot of help. Neither Tony Hooper nor Bill Moseley appeared in this documentary, so maybe that's all we need to know about it. They might feel the film should be left lost in the past. In Search of All-American Massacre, the Lost Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, is the closest thing to watching this lost movie and does a great job of summarizing the frustrations of fans, the chaos behind the scenes, and the possibility of it ever being released. As a diehard TCM fan, I highly recommend this documentary and hope it'll spark more interest in the All-American Massacre's recovery. Until then, the hunt continues.
Dog will hunt.
As always, feel free to agree, disagree, or how about you play along at home and give me your own picks for your favorite horror movies. It's October, so let's talk horror. Come back tomorrow for the next level in the Best in Horror Countdown. Be sure to hit all of those pertinent bells and whistles down below, and you'll never miss a post. Happy Halloween, folks.